this kind of a compartment and how you would ever figure out that you put the ignition on, tap the emergency brake, tap 3 buttons, and all these other things is pretty amazing. And which shows you that the troopers really, their ability to sit on those highways, to be alert in those rest areas, and to be able to discover the fact that this was not engineered properly. And as you can come and inspect yourself, there's plenty of room to hide heroin, the prescription drugs, and so we thought it was important that we give them whatever help they need in this effort. So we will, and Senator Hughes will talk about it as a former prosecutor, why this is so important. What I'd really like you to do is come on back up to the microphone and tell us how you spotted, how this truck was spotted.
This pickup truck was stopped as a result of 2 moving violations, one of which was a marked lanes violation, the other was failing to signal lane change. The trooper that stopped it made the approach, picked up on some indicators on the driver's behavior, which led to a canine deployed to sniff the air around the vehicle. The canine gave a positive indication to the alert of the odor of narcotics coming from the vehicle. There are a lot of indicators built right into the tailgate of this truck that from here, a trained eye can see there's an obvious problem. But there are certain indicators that we can point out up there that show that there's been modifications made to this vehicle. Through the course of those discoveries, the gentleman who was driving the vehicle was a 63-year-old man, gave up the sequence to the troopers and told them how to open a compartment, which revealed 6 kilos of cocaine for $600,000.
And some of the, and Trooper, if you come on back for one more question. Tell them about how the training works and what you're trained to look for. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Our criminal patrol troopers, we spend a lot of time in the medians, in the crossovers, and we watch human behavior. We see a lot of cars drive by, that's all we look at. We know what's normal for the motoring public. We know how they react when they see marked units in a crossover. We look for things that are out of the ordinary.
Provence slams on his brakes. That's a first. Yeah, that's normal. Okay.
That's normal. But after he gets past us and he sees that we're still sitting in the crossover, he's going to go about his business and probably speed up to the same speed he was going before he sees us. There's certain indicators we look for when it comes to human behavior. Your average motoring public, they do certain things when they see us, and we pick up on those. People who are traveling with a large amount of drugs, they tend to do things that the average motoring public doesn't do. And those are the things we look for.
Can you tell them any of that, or is that a secret?
There's just, adrenaline is definitely the most powerful drug. And when you're hauling enough drugs in your car to put you away for life, you're going to have an adrenaline dump when you see us. It causes you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. Things like driving slower than the average person.
Not looking away.
Not looking away. Right where we sit, we have a certain area where we sit every day, and across from us is nothing but a plain hill. And if you drive past us and everybody in the car breaks their neck to look at that beautiful plain hill when you pass us, it catches our attention. Little things like that.
How about the cleanliness of the vehicle itself? I found that to be pretty interesting.
Cleanliness can go either way. Again, you're looking for out of the ordinary. We've all traveled cross country. We know it's normal for garbage in a vehicle, so it can go either way.
So, and there are other techniques and tactics and techniques that get taught by troopers to other troopers to make them aware, and it's beginning to pay off. And we need to ramp this up. And then, of course, we have one of man's best friends there, or people's best friends. What's that dog's name?
It's Argo, sir. Argo.
I thought it was really tin. So Argo is the dog's name, and you want to? Can you demonstrate how the dog works?
Argo is a dual-purpose canine.
I'm pretty good with this.
Awfully good.
Now put your hat on. Don't be like one of those silly golfers you can't see their face. Your wife will say, "Why did you put your hat on?" Okay.
Argo is a dual-purpose canine. He is trained to detect the odor of narcotics, all the major narcotics, and he's also a patrol dog, which means he's trained for tracking. He can track violent felons, article search. So those same felons, when they pitch a weapon on a track, he's trained to locate those items. Building searches, he can clear buildings. Area searches, which means if we've got a suspect hiding in a known area of woods, he can clear that area of woods for us and locate the suspect. He's also trained, he does what's called a bark and hold, or a reasonable force. If I deploy him on a suspect who's fleeing from us to apprehend him, and if that suspect gives up before my dog gets there, the dog will not bite. The dog will just stop and bark until I get there and give the dog another command.
And can sniff out any of these hidden compartments?
Absolutely, he can sniff out the narcotics, and he probably knew this was in here before I even got him out of the truck outside.
Okay. Colonel, you want to say anything about the load you have on the truck?
This is an example of both cocaine, heroin. There's some marijuana in there as well. In this particular case, I think the driver was sentenced to 8 years in prison. This would be maybe a slightly larger load of cocaine that we've interdicted. As the governor said, in the first 6 weeks of 2012, we've seized more than we did all of last year. One of our seizures, $3 million worth of heroin, is 20,000 average daily doses. So when people say, how big of an impact are you having? Well, if your neighbor is a heroin addict and they are trying to get heroin, they'll do anything to get the heroin. If we can impact that 20,000 dose several times a year, we know we're having a dramatic impact. The map that's behind the sheriffs is a map from the federal government that shows how drugs come into the United States and how key Ohio is. And we're absolutely confident with Senator Hughes himself and the other legislators and obviously the law enforcement partnerships that we can make Ohio very unattractive for those people bringing drugs through. We know we've already done it. We move routes based on our interdiction successes. One of the things that we do, Trooper Trader just found out yesterday that he was going to be coming down here for this, but one of the things that we do is make sure that we really spend a ton of time on training. Search and seizure, we want to make sure that we're doing this within the constitutional parameters, that we're doing within statutory parameters, and so we spend a ton of time on training. In this particular case, fortunately, the driver told us how to get into the vehicle, but we, in all likelihood, had not had his consent, we would have obtained a search warrant and cut into the vehicle. As you'll be able to see afterwards, it's extremely sophisticated, and obviously this vehicle, before we interdicted it, had been used several times. One last point, Governor, if I have to just a moment first. Our largest cocaine seizure last year. People say, what's changed? Well, first of all, law enforcement partnerships sounds like what I should be saying, but it's 100% the case. We'll make a traffic stop in Findlay, Ohio, and because of the partnerships that we have with relationships with Sheriff Phelan and his task force, for example, share information about pills that were moving from Detroit to Lancaster. 150 kilos of cocaine that we seized was in a vehicle that had been stopped earlier in Nebraska and given a speeding ticket. This stuff was moving to and through Ohio and has been for years. They're a business. They'll make business decisions, and we're pretty confident that with this legislation and some of the partnerships we have planned for 2012, we can make Ohio unattractive for these traffickers.